Hello everyone and welcome to Barca News. It's March 15, 2023 and the Enriquez Negreira reports have been revealed, so we now know what Barcelona paid for in those reports. Also, the club might have found the formula to sign Vitor Roque this upcoming summer, and Ansu Fati could be leaving Barcelona after all. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and today's video is going to be a little bit long because there's a lot of exciting news coming out of Barcelona. News in regards to Sergio Busquets, Ilkay Gundogan, Alejandro Balde, Lamine Yamal, and so much more. So please bear with me as I try to cover all these topics as concisely as possible. Also, I'm currently working on a new YouTube setup that will allow me to live stream videos, and I'm hoping to finish this setup by this weekend. So hopefully by next week, I will be doing 2 live streams a week, one on Monday and one on Wednesday, where not only I'm gonna be bringing you the most up-to-date Barcelona news, but where I'm also gonna be able to interact with you more freely, especially through the chat function, and where you will be able to ask me questions and I'll be able to answer them live. So make sure you stay tuned for a new announcement that I will be making through the community tab. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can have access to the community tab. Now I'll begin with the news that Barcelona have unveiled the special edition jersey that the team are gonna be wearing on Sunday in that El Clasico match. And just like the first El Clasico match where the Drake OVO owl logo replaced the Spotify logo on that jersey, this time the Spotify logo will be replaced by the logo of the Catalan singer Rosalia. Now, unlike the Drake jersey, this jersey did go on sale today and it was going for around 400 euros, with another different jersey signed by all the team going for 1,000 euros. And there's already reports that all the jerseys have been sold out. That's of course great news for Barcelona because this is a good way to generate more income, as the club desperately needs to do so because they will need to reduce their wage bill by 200 million euros come the summer. Now, speaking of El Clasico, the club have reported that Pedri is 100% fit and he will be starting the match against Real Madrid. And this is of course great news for Barcelona because every time Barcelona have lost Pedri, the performance of the team have taken a nosedive. And he's the only player that Barcelona cannot afford to lose, as we've seen in the past, because whenever we've lost players like Dembélé or Lewandowski or Gavi, important players for the team will still manage to pull forward. But every time we've lost Pedri, the performance of the team completely takes a nosedive. So this will be great news that Pedri will be starting that match against Real Madrid, as Barcelona will be looking to increase their lead over Los Blancos from 9 to 12 points. Now on to the news that Barcelona have released the Enriquez Negreira reports, and we now know what the club paid for in those reports when they hired Enriquez Negreira as a consultant. Now, as we've been talking about these past few days, Barcelona are currently involved in a scandal where it was revealed that the previous president, Josep Maria Bartomeu, had hired the former referee Enriquez Negreira so he can be a referee and consultant for the club. This is of course a customary thing in La Liga, where all La Liga clubs hire former referees so they can be consultants and they can advise them on how different referees act and help them also interpret La Liga's rules. Now, the scandal stems from the fact that between the years of 2016 and 2018, while Enriquez Negreira was working for Barcelona as a consultant, he was also the vice president of the board of referees. And this is of course a serious conflict of interest where Enriquez Negreira was working for both institutions. Now, as a result of this scandal, the prosecutor's office in Spain have decided to file a complaint against Barcelona for corruption, and other clubs such as Real Madrid and La Liga itself have decided to join this legal complaint. But besides the fact that there's a legal complaint pending, there's absolutely zero evidence that Barcelona paid off any referees or that they try to buy any influence. This is a simple case of a serious conflict of interest where Barcelona were hiring the vice president of the board of referees as their refereeing consultant. Now, up until this point, the Madrid-based media kept talking about how the reports that Enriquez Negreira had produced for the club did not exist because they obviously contained some kind of evidence of corruption. And Barcelona the entire time maintained the position that those reports did exist and that they were in the possession of the club. And finally, FC Barcelona today decided to release those reports, which I have taken a glance at them and I have read some of them, and I encourage you all to do it because there's absolutely no evidence of those reports of Barcelona buying any referees or trying to buy any influence. The only evidence that those reports show us is that Barcelona were absolutely robbed by paying Enriquez Negreira over 7 million euros for reports that contain absolutely no important information. Now, these reports are very short. They're only a few pages long, and they contain a myriad of misspellings and punctuation errors. And these reports discuss how different referees rule in La Liga, and they contain so little information that you and I could have written those reports by only watching a few matches from La Liga. Now, for example, these reports talk about certain referees, giving out yellows for elbows, or giving out yellows for holding jerseys. Very basic information that you and I could discern on our own. It's like it's like me writing a report saying that Mateo Laos likes to hand out yellow cards. We all know that just by watching La Liga's matches, and then turning around and charging Barcelona 500,000 euros for a report that you and I could have simply written. Now, not only do these reports contain very little information that it's not worth what Barcelona paid for, but it's also been revealed that what Barcelona was paying Enriquez Negreira was way above market value, because as I've said earlier, all La Liga clubs hire former referees as consultants, and when you look at what other clubs are paying their consultants, Barcelona definitely completely overpaid Enriquez Negreira for the services that Barcelona did not get their money's worth. Now, once you take into consideration what Barcelona was paying Enriquez Negreira and what Bartomeu was paying for transfer fees for signing players, the bonuses that he was paying to these players, the bonuses that he was paying for their agents, and all the different contracts that Barcelona were completely overpaying to other PR firms, scouting firms, etc., I'm starting to think that what Bartomeu was doing here was diverting the funds of the club so he can pocket that money. So, for example, in the Enriquez Negreira case, I think that what Bartomeu was doing was saying, hey, I'll pay you 8 million euros. You make a few crappy reports so I can justify that payment as if I'm paying you for your services. And then we split those 8 million euros. And I'm thinking that Bartomeu was doing this with all the transactions of the club, even with players like, hey, how much does this player cost? Oh, 50 million euros. Charge me 70. That way, we pay the 50 million euros for the player and we pocket that 20 million euro difference. So I think that that's really what the real scandal here is that Bartomeu was diverting the funds of the club and pocketing a lot of it. And I'm really glad that there's an investigation into this matter, because we need to investigate all the way through what happened. Not because Barcelona was buying referees or paying off for influence, but because Bartomeu was diverting the funds. And I suspect that if an investigation is conducted, that those facts will come to light. Now, of course, you're not gonna hear about any of this in the mainstream media or out of the Javier Tebas' mouth. The story that they're still selling us is that Barcelona were trying to buy influence, or they're trying to pay off referees. But as I've stated before, there's absolutely zero evidence that Barcelona was doing that, and anyone that tells you that is absolutely lying to you. Now, speaking of Javier Tebas, it's been revealed that La Liga's president accepted payments for a company that's accused of financing terrorist cells in Iran. Now, it seems that Javier Tebas had signed a sponsorship deal between the years of 2017 and 2020 with an Iranian company called MTN Irancell. And this company is in the watch of NATO and the United States of America, because both entities consider that this is a company that finances terrorism in the Republic of Iran. Now, it seems that Tebas and La Liga accepted around 770,000 euros, and they accepted that payment through a bank in Dubai so as to not raise any flags from the US or NATO that they were accepting money directly from that company. So they did it through a third party. That way no one notices what La Liga and Javier Tebas were doing. Now, if these allegations come to the attention of NATO and the United States and they're further investigated, then Javier Tebas will be in deep trouble, which is, of course, absolutely ironic, because all these past days, Javier Tebas has been talking about Barcelona's corruption and what they're doing. But yeah, here he was accepting money from a company known for funding terrorist cells in the Republic of Iran. Now, on to the news that Barcelona might have found the formula to sign Vitor Roque this upcoming summer. Now, Barcelona are currently in negotiation with Atlético Paranaense to sign the 18-year-old striker who has revealed on more than one occasion his desire to play for Barcelona. And since Barcelona have a big problem with the financial fair play rules, where they're currently over their wage limit, Barcelona are reportedly negotiating with Atlético Paranaense a one-year loan for Vitor Roque with an option to buy. which would give Barcelona more time until the summer of 2024 to try to clear enough space on their wage bill so they can sign the Brazilian star. Now on to the news that Sergio Busquets' entourage has revealed that they have received the official offer of renewal from Barcelona. Now, as reported previously, Busquets' contract will expire at the end of the season. However, Xavi wants Busquets to extend his contract for at least one more season so he can train his future replacement in that pivot position. And it seems that Barcelona have officially made the renewal offer to Sergio Busquets, where it's reported that the club are offering him a one-year extension with an option to extend for one more, and they're offering him around a 7 million euro salary, which is 1/3 of what Sergio Busquets is currently earning. Now, it's reported that Sergio Busquets is willing to reduce his salary. However, he's not willing to reduce it by that much. So it's reported that if the club increased their offer by a little bit more, then Sergio Busquets will agree to stay in Barcelona for one more season. And it seems that Xavi has been able to convince Busquets, because for the longest time it was reported that Busquets had made up his mind and he was going to join Inter Miami in the MLS come this summer. Now, speaking of players reducing their salaries, it's reported that both Mark ter Stegen and Frankie de Jong are now agreeable to reducing their salaries. Of course, they have very high salaries, way above market value that was given to them by the previous president, Bartomeu, when he renewed his contract. It seems that both players are willing to reduce their salaries to help out the club because they're feeling very happy at Barcelona, especially with the change of board of directors and the change of coach. And they feel like they are important players and they feel very at home. So they're more than willing to help out the club in this difficult financial situation. Now, speaking of the midfield, it's reported that Barcelona's #1 priority now is the Turkish-German midfielder İlkay Gündoğan. Now, Gündoğan's contract will expire with Manchester City this upcoming summer, so he will become a free agent. And even though he had attempted to renegotiate a contract renewal with Manchester City, it seems that those negotiations have gone nowhere, and İlkay Gündoğan will be leaving the Premier League club this summer. Now, it's reported that İlkay Gündoğan wants to join Barcelona, and he has informed Xavi and the club that he's more than willing to reduce his salary as much as possible so this signing can happen, and so Barcelona can sign him despite being over their wage limit and despite the financial fair play rule regulation. And if this is true, then Barcelona will be able to sign Gündoğan because he will be arriving for free and he will be arriving with a much lower salary, which is of course very surprising because it's reported that Gündoğan had requested from Manchester City a very high salary, much more than what he's willing to accept from Barcelona. And it's reported that he had also made very high salary demands from other clubs that were also interested in signing him. So it looks like the German-Turkish midfielder really wants to come to Barcelona if he's willing to come for free and willing to accept a huge pay cut. Now on to the news that Joan Laporta and Matteo Alemany were spotted in Porto in Portugal, meeting with the super agent Jorge Mendes, which of course gave rise to a lot of speculation about what these three might have discussed. Well, it's now been revealed that it seems that Joan Laporta, Alemany, and Jorge Mendes had met to discuss the contract extension of Alejandro Balde, which his contract does expire this summer of 2024. And even though it was initially reported that all the negotiations were finalized, it seems that there's still a few more details that all parties need to finalize. But nonetheless, Alejandro Balde will be staying at the club because he wants to remain in Barcelona. And of course, Barcelona want to keep this rising star, who is no doubt one of the best left backs in the entire world. Now, it's also reported that Alemany, Laporta, and Mendes discussed other things such as the future of Ansu Fati and the possibility of the club signing Joao Cancelo on loan this upcoming summer, because after all, Jorge Mendes does represent both players and he also represents other players who currently play for FC Barcelona. Now, speaking of Ansu Fati, it's now reported that the player could leave Barcelona after all. Now, the club's official stand remains that Ansu Fati will not be leaving the Barcelona and will not be going anywhere. However, more and more sources are coming out saying that the club, if they do receive a good offer for Ansu Fati, that they will consider offloading him, whether it's on a permanent transfer basis or on loan for the upcoming season. Now, a lot of you have been telling me in the comments that Ansu Fati should be loaned to another team, and for the longest time I didn't really comment on it because Barcelona's official stand was that Ansu Fati was not going anywhere. But now that it's been confirmed that Barcelona are considering offloading Ansu Fati. I do agree with all of you, and is that Ansu Fati should most likely be loaned for the upcoming season because he's a very talented player and he has that kind of raw talent that's very hard to come by. And I know that's in him, but unfortunately, because of all the injuries, he's currently lacking the confidence to bring that talent out. And since he can't really live up to his talent, Xavi is not giving him much playing time. So I really think that Ansu Fati needs to go to another team so he can get more playing time, he can recover his rhythm, he can recover his confidence, and he can start showing us all the talent that we all know he has, and then he can hopefully come back to Barcelona once he's recovered his confidence so he can contribute to the team. Now we will end today's video with the news that Lamine Yamal has been dropped from the under-17 Spanish squad. Now we've talked about Lamine Yamal in the past. He's a 15-year-old winger who currently plays in La Masia, and both Xavi and his staff say that they haven't seen talent like him in several years. So he's considered the crown jewel of La Masia, and Barcelona are currently working on giving him the first professional contract once he turns 16 this upcoming summer. Now Lamine Yamal had been called up to play with the under-17 youth Spanish team, and it's now being reported that he has been dropped out of the squad for a serious violation. And once Barcelona found out what this indiscipline violation was, they too have decided to punish him, and they have decided to put him on the bench for the next 4 upcoming matches. Now since Lamine Yamal is 15 years old and he's underage, we don't know what the violation was, but it has come as a surprise to the club because Barcelona report that Lamine Yamal is not really a player that is known for his indiscipline. So we're gonna have to see whether this was a one-time violation or that this is a behavior that's gonna become repetitive. Now, since Lamine Yamal has been dropped out of the Spanish squad, there's now talk from his entourage that he could consider joining the Moroccan national team instead, because Lamine Yamal does also have Moroccan citizenship, and the Moroccan national team have been after this young player for quite some time, and he has yet to play a professional match with Spain, so he could switch allegiances per the FIFA rules. So that is it for today. This was a long video containing a lot of news that I hopefully covered as succinctly as possible. So if you like the video, please give me a like. Also, please drop a comment down below giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, peace, Barca.